second reading of the 2016 budget passed with a majority in Parliament.
Maharaja Rajapaksa. Absent.
We will not allow the amalgamation of Divi Nagama Fund with National Savings Bank. A statement from Minister S.B. Dissanayake.
Government Medical Officers Association to go on strike tomorrow.
Sarath Fonseca responds to the 500 million rupees demanded by the Justice Minister.
Lawyers Association of the Colombo High Court directs attention to the incident where Rienzi Arsukularatna's mobile phone rang inside the Galle High Court.
මේ දුරකථනයක් නාද වීම අධිකරණයකදී අහම්බෙන් සිදුවන සිදුවීමක්. එය හිතාමතා කරපු කාරණයක් නම් තමයි අධිකරණ අපහාස වීමක් සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ.
Hello and welcome. This is your primetime news bulletin coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo on MTV and Shakti TV. Good evening, I am Shahin Jurangpati.
A very good evening, I'm Mahina Bongzo. We start off with a look at your top story for today.
Well, Mahina, in our top story this evening, on the 20th of this month, Minister Ravi Karunaik, in his capacity as of Minister of Finance, presented the maiden budget of the new government. And today,
yes, today the second reading of the 2016 budget was passed in Parliament with a majority of 107 votes.
Honorable Ranil Wickremesinghe.
All members representing the ruling party, headed by Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, voted for the budget. Members of the Tamil National Alliance representing the opposition also voted in favour of the budget. The fact that the leader of the opposition also voted in favour of the budget was of much significance.
Rajavotiyam Sambandhan.
MPs Douglas Devananda, Aramugam Thondaman and Muthu Sivalingam voted for the budget. Parliamentarians Dinesh Gunawardena, Vimal Veerawangsa, Rohit Abe Gunawardena, Mahinda Abe Wardena, Dallas Alaha Peruma, Mahindananda Aludgamage, Udaya Gamman Pilla, S.M. Chandrasena, Bandula Gunawardena, Johnston Fernando, Ranjit Disoiza, Chamal Rajapaksa, Gamini Lokoge, Pavitra Vanyarachi, Viduru Wickramanayake, Namal Rajapaksa and Kumara Velgama voted against the budget. The parliamentary group of the Janata Vimukti Peramuna also voted against the budget. As former President Mahinda Rajapaksa was among the absentees for the vote today, there was an uproar in the chambers among the MPs when his name was called.
Honorable Mahinda Rajapaksa.
MPs MKA DS Gunawardena, Geeta Kumar Singha, Siripala Gamlat, Premalal Jayasekara, Janaka Bandara Thenakon, Manushanana Kara, Buddhika Patirana, Venerable Atureli Ratanathera, Lohan Ratvatta and Kanaka Herat were among the other absentees. Members of the EPRLF party, which represents the Tamil National Alliance, Shiva Mohan and Shiva Shakti, were also among the absentees for the vote today.
2016 විසර්ජන පනත් කෙටුම්පත පක්ෂව 159යි විපක්ෂව 52යි නොපැමිණි 13යි.
Now, following the conclusion of the vote for the second reading of the budget, President Maithripala Sirisena thanked all the government and opposition members of the parliament who voted in favour of the budget 2016.
Heated discussions, meanwhile, took place in Parliament today, which was incidentally the final day for the second reading of the 2016 budget.
When we visited Malta for the summit, many world leaders came in search of our president. They come and tell us that they wish to pose for a photograph with President Maithripala Sirisena. This is the situation at hand. We will not be second to anyone and we will not bow down to anyone.
You're speaking of buses. You say one free bus will be given for every 10 buses. You know nothing on this. The government did not spend a cent.
Sri Lankan Newsfirst.lk
The Sri Lanka Freedom Party and the United National Party have reached a consensus. Yet there is a group in the Sri Lanka Freedom Party that will not agree to anything and are operating on the basis that power needs to be transferred to their alternative group. This group only sees the negatives. When the president is present in the chambers, the members of this group were clear.
As we are in the opposition, we assume that this budget would be one that would destroy us. We assume that relief would be provided in a way that we will not be able to go to the villages. We can now visit the villages freely. Because of this budget, persons who worked for this government say that we stand tall and they would bless us.
There is disturbance from the group including MP Namal. Thank you for the disturbance. My friend Mahinda Nanda comes and goes. First he decided not to step in and now he has decided to step in. We are happy about this. Namal went and returned with the troop. This is like spraying kerosene to the water snake. I knew how to get you all here.
සන්තෝෂයි ආගන්න නැහැ කියලා ගියා නාමල් බබා ගිහිල්ලා කට්ටිය අරන් ආවා හොඳයි ඔරකන් ඇහෙනකොට එනවා ගැරන්ඩියට ගැව්වා වගේ ගැරන්ඩියට භූමිතේ ගැව්වා වගේ දඩාස් ගාවා නියමයි මම දැනගත්ත ගෙන්න ගන්න විදිය ඔක්කොම එළියට ගියා මං කිව්වා මල්ලි මං ගෙන්න ගන්න දන්නවා කියලා එකයි ගැවේ දෙකයි ගැවේ කට්ටිය ඇතුළේ මොනවා කතා කරන්නේ.
No matter what you say, your conscience is aware of what you have done. Therefore, you get riled up like a snake.
කාලා විශ්සනවා ඒ හින්දා කොහේ හිටියත් එනවා ගැරන්ඩියට මෙහෙම භූමිතේ ගැව්වත් ආරෙන් මෙහාට එනවා පොල් අවුරුද්දක් තිස්සේ අපි හොරකම් කරපු ඇල්ලුවා පොල් ගෑවේ නැහැ
පෙන්ෂන් එකේ 97500යි.
The pension is 97,500 rupees. The secretary allowance is 50,000 rupees. The fuel allowance is 201,000 rupees. Mahinda Rajapaksa, who obtained a sum of 349,000 rupees from the Presidential Secretariat with regard to the pension, is not here to speak in Parliament. Honourable Speaker, although it was proposed to increase the emission tax, motorcycles and three-wheelers have been exempted from that increase. Although it is charged from the private sector, I wish to announce here that the 5,000 rupees has been included into the consolidated funds. The charge to discourage voluntary registration has been amended to 50,000 rupees. The minimum investment required for international collaboration for international cargo transport will be limited to $5. The proposed charge for container vehicles entering the Sri Lanka Ports Authority premises is 100,000 rupees. This is for container carriers that are to be registered. This charge will be amended to a one-time only charge. Regulations that are in place for providing lands to foreigners have not been removed. The tax on leasing of lands will be amended. Presentation of cash was proposed as an alternative for the vehicle permit for the government officials. I hope to implement this alternative program under a tax concession program to import a vehicle. A proposed program will be announced in the future. There is infrastructure facilities, education and health. We have constructed a number of expressways. Capital of 874 billion has been allocated. I wish to announce that the 2016 budget is the one that has allocated its large sum of capital after 1979. We challenge this. Is this why you have no faith? Is this why there is no positive note on this? This is not from the UNP, the SLFP or the JVP or the TNA. This is the economy of the nation. That is why we need to come together.
Welcome back to the news.
The Sri Lanka Administrative Services Association will engage in a Work to Rule campaign tomorrow. Its secretary, Rohana De Silva, said the Work to Rule campaign will be effective at a number of state institutions, including the Departments of Registration of Persons, Motor Traffic and Immigration and Emigration.
Moving on to another news story which made headlines. The Joint Committee of Executive Officers in all island services comprising of 17 trade unions of the public service, including the Government Medical Officers Association, have decided to stage a strike tomorrow. The strike will be staged against the non-granting of vehicle permits and several other facilities as proposed in the 2016 budget.
The Government Medical Officers Association along with the Joint Committee of Executive Officers in all island services will commence a trade in action from 8 a.m. tomorrow. We have decided to continue with the operations of the emergency services. The trade in action will not be in effect at the Lady Ridgeway Hospital for Children, the Castle Street Hospital for Women, the Zoisa Maternity Hospital, the Cancer Institute and the Sirimau Bandaranayaka Specialist Children Hospital. We hope that the sensitive nature of this action will be given consideration and talks will be called for either today or tomorrow. This can be stopped only through discussions with the Joint Committee of Executive Officers in all island services. As we did not receive a response from the government even after noon today, we have decided to commence an island-wide strike tomorrow by calling in sick.
The Engineering Professionals Association organised a protest opposite the Ministry of Public Administration against the curtailment of the rights of the public servants. Thereafter, the demonstrators marched towards the Prime Minister's office and handed over a letter.
Our request is for the provision of the professional allowance that was promised to the 100-day government. The Minister of Finance was sweeping this matter under the carpet. We monitored the situation for months. However, the government has failed to fulfill this promise. Today we have resorted to trade union action. We will commence a continuous strike action in a week. Tomorrow we will join with the common protest by the other public service professionals. We are against the move to curtail the duty-free vehicle permit.
The Federation of University Teachers Association says that it is disappointed with the nature of the allocations made by the government for the education sector.
The government announced that more funds will be allocated for the education sector. They announced an increase of over 5%. When we analyze allocation, only 3.7% of the GDP has been allocated for education. The budget includes something called the capital carrying cost. This is not a cost that should burden the government. When we make the calculations, it will be around 2.72%. We are aware that 6% of the GDP cannot be allocated for education. If this is properly formulated with 30% a year, by 5 years, we can see the increase.
Drivers of school transport services operating in Colombo raised black flags in their vehicles against the increase of the emission tax.
The duty-free vehicle permit was discussed on the Newsline program aired this morning.
Why should one section of society be more privileged than the other? We understand the need if a parliamentarian is to be given transport and so on. Well, that can be done in the form of tax breaks or a travel allowance.
Yeah,
in the corporate world, that happens all the time.
And why doctors, lawyers and academics? What about the principals?
That's
these people can be, because if you look at it, our teachers,
yes,
and they can be protected.
But it's a never-ending list, though.
Yeah, never. But then we should not give it to these people who have, like, say, they have got a free education, most of them.
Yeah.
It's all free.
Yeah.
And then after that, they live abroad. Then, this is what's happening in this country. So we can have controls.
We should.
And we still give them, 10 lakhs. So we give it to the correct people. That's all right. This is what I feel.
Just, but I prefer, this is not something that I've learned from Dr. Wickremabao, and it's not some sort of people's evolution, but our constitution is very clear, and it's in black and white. So the constitution of Sri Lanka considers you and I and our cameraman and everybody else to be equal. And that's written down.
That's only in black and white. It's
yes,
not
but
in
we want
practice,
to see it in practice. Why should Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe or anybody else get a free vehicle permit? If he's doing a service to the country and being in Parliament, that's fine. And if you have to support him with transport, that's also fine. But he can be given a transport allowance.
The vehicle permit has not been removed completely to the budget. The budget proposes of alternatives. The government proposes to provide a government servant a sum of 900,000 rupees once in every 5 years. When a permit is given, some sell the permit. This measure is taken against this. The permit holder sells it and imports a vehicle. The person who purchased the permit imports a bigger vehicle through that. This is pressure on the government. A large number of vehicles started to flood the country. The sale of permits need to be stopped. There is no debate on that. After 2016, new recruits to the public service will have no claim for the permit or the 900,000 rupees. Government employees need to be provided with benefits. There is much talk on the amalgamation of the EPF and the ETF. One faction is not pleased about this fact. They are the groups that contributed to these funds. There is an issue for them as to why this is being done. This is devoid of any party differences. I personally believe that even though this was proposed with a positive intention, the doubts that have arisen over this matter have caused a certain turbulence in the social sphere of the country. This can be opposed. I think that this needs to be taken up in the public domain for discussion. This may have advantages. You must highlight the advantages.
Speaking in Parliament today, Treasurer of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, S.B. Dissanayake, expressed his party's stance on the 2016 budget and added that a number of proposals in the budget should be amended.
Sri Lanka Nidahas Paksha හැටියට
As the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, we have concerns about this budget. Therefore, I wish to say that we have brought these concerns to the attention of the Honourable Prime Minister and the Finance Minister and resolved a few of the issues. The process to resolve further issues is continuing. Here are our concerns. Stop the amalgamation of Divi Nagama Bank and the National Savings Bank and issue vehicle permits to state officials, especially district secretaries, as it is all they have when they leave. Furthermore, at a time when the Prime Minister has given high priority to the environment, we call for the immediate removal of the tax imposed on electric cars and instead an increase in the import of electric cars. We also call for the fertilizer subsidy to be provided as before.
ඒ වගේම තාර තෙල් ගෙන්වීම විවෘත කිරීම නතර කරන්න ඒක විතරයි තෙල් සංස්ථාවට ලාභ දෙන ව්‍යාපෘතියක් හැටියට තියෙන්නේ. ඒ වගේම පොල් ආනයනය
Also stop coconut imports and allocate funds for oil exploration, as the 10 or 15 million rupees allocated this year is insufficient. In order to protect tea growers, provide subsidies for the price of tea, which has seen a drop. The revenue from 1% tax on tourism must be given to the tourism board to develop the sector. Reconsider the amalgamation of the EPF and ETF by consulting trade unions and the parliament. Finally, reveal in parliament the amount allocated for education and health, excluding the recurrent expenditure for both sectors.
Also speaking in Parliament today, Chief Opposition Whip Anurukumara Dissanayake made a statement regarding the allocation of time in the chambers and the allegations levelled against his party, the Janatha Vimukthi Peramuna.
There are only 6 parties which represent Parliament, out of which 3 of them, including the United National Party, United People's Freedom Alliance and Sri Lanka Muslim Congress, are with the government, as the Prime Minister handed out ministerial positions to these parties. Therefore, the opposition is represented by the Tamil National Alliance, Janatha Vimukthi Peramuna and the EPDP. So 25% of the time which is allocated for the opposition is divided amongst these 3 parties. So what they get is the remainder of the 75% of time allocated for the ruling party. If they are to get more time from the opposition, they are required to step down from the UPFA and the SLFP and make a separate statement as an independent MP in the opposition. But no MP has made such a statement, which is why each MP joins their respective parliamentary group. Even now as we speak, the UPFA parliamentary group has been convened by their leader. During the working committee meeting, Senior Vice Chairman of the SLFP, Nimal Siripala de Silva, presents a debate on the Transport Ministry. So this matter is debated from the opposing side by Matara District MP Dallas Alahapiruma, who is from the same party. What nonsense is this? If this is the case, they should make a statement saying that they have stepped down from the SLFP. It should either be this or that. You cannot have both. During the debate, Ministers Vijayadasa Rajapaksa, Dilan Pereira and Susil Premachandra had stated that this budget be put aside for a moment and that the activities of the JVP between 1988 and 89 be investigated. This means that even after 26 years, we are happy to say they are yet to find anything new. But we, on the other hand, can find certain facts from just last week about them regarding avant-garde. We can find what game these gentlemen played with the Rataveru Fund last week. This goes to show that the JVP has functioned absolutely right in terms of its politics and conduct. This is why they are digging up facts from the past. Let's hold a debate in Parliament regarding what happened in 88 and 89. We are in favour of it. I saw Minister Susil Premachandra saying that a committee should be appointed. We are ready. Yes, let's appoint a committee. But they won't, because if they do, a majority in here will get caught and be thrown behind bars.
Still in local news, Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca convened a media briefing at the Democratic Party office in Palawatha today.
මට විරුද්ධව එවලා තියෙනවා මිලියන 500ක් මගෙන් ඉල්ලලා.
The Minister of Justice has sent me a letter seeking compensation of 500 million rupees. We worked hard to send persons like the Minister of Justice to Parliament and for them to become ministers. We made sacrifices. This is the manner in which they pay gratitude to us. I will not take a step back in the face of this challenge. I told you that I have no money and that I might have to go live in his house. We had said that his wife would not accept me, but would accept my wife and children. I wish to ask him, would he treat the chairman of Avant-Garde in the same manner? I challenge Vijayadasa Rajapaksa to inform the public within a period of 48 hours on the nature of the relationship between him and the chairman of Avant-Garde.
The Lawyers Association of the Colombo High Court convened a special meeting today. The meeting was held with regard to the incident where the mobile phone of President's Counsel Rienzi Arsukularatne rang in the Galle High Court while court was in session.
His phone ringing inside the court was an accident. It would only be a fault if it was done purposefully. This is an incident that needs to be looked into. This is not only on behalf of the lawyers, but also on behalf of the general public. The point was discussed today. The Lawyers Association of the Colombo High Court will support the steps taken by any other association in this matter. We request the relevant organizations to jointly discuss this matter with the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, the Judicial Services Commission and the Chief Justice, and to take immediate steps to rectify this situation.
The Capital Maharaja Organisation Limited filed a leave to appeal application against Kiangnam Lanka Private Limited and Kiangnam Enterprises Limited over a judgment delivered by the District Court of Colombo.
When the leave to appeal application filed by the Capital Maharaja Organisation Limited came up before judges M. Samewardana and D. M. Samarakon at the Civil Appellate High Court today, President's Counsel S. A. Parathalingam, appearing on behalf of the Capital Maharaja Organisation Limited, brought to the notice of court that TCMOL had entered into an agreement with Kiangnam Lanka Private Limited and Kiangnam Enterprises Limited to construct a luxury apartment complex called Dawson Grand on a land which was owned by the Capital Maharaja Organisation Limited. The agreement had been entered into in the year 2006 and the construction of the Dawson Grand was to be completed within a period of 5 years. As Kiangnam Lanka Private Limited and Kiangnam Enterprises Limited had acted in breach of the said agreement and did not fulfill or comply with the conditions laid down in the said agreement and caused loss and damage to the Capital Maharaja Organisation Limited, an action was earlier instituted in the District Court of Colombo claiming a sum of $40 million in damages. The District Judge of Colombo had dismissed the said action on preliminary objections raised by the counsel who appeared for the Kiangnam Lanka Private Limited and Kiangnam Enterprises Limited, and therefore the order of the District Judge is palpably wrong order, and that the District Judge had failed to consider that the agreement in issue has been novated by Kiangnam Lanka Private Limited by its own correspondence. Having heard the lengthy submissions by both parties, court granted leave to appeal to the Capital Maharaja Organisation Limited. President's Counsel S. A. Parathalingam, N. Parathalingam and Niranjan Arupragasam, instructed by G. G. Arupragasam, appeared for the Capital Maharaja Organisation Limited. President's Counsel K. Khanagishwaran and N. R. Sivendran, instructed by Nilakhandan Associates, appeared on behalf of Kiangnam Lanka Private Limited and Kiangnam Enterprises Limited.
The Colombo Stock Exchange, the main stock exchange in the country, celebrated its 30th anniversary today at a special event that was presided over by the Prime Minister.
Now, the much talked about Colombo Port City project was a topic that the Prime Minister touched in his speech today.
The 30th anniversary celebration of the Colombo Stock Exchange was attended by Minister of Finance Ravi Karnanayaka, Governor of the Central Bank Arjuna Mahendran and other distinguished guests.
If the Port City project gets on the way, I think there will be some form of landfill there. Then that could have the makings of a special business and financial district, which will be a unique one in South Asia at the Treasury, and we have discussed. We have to move away from the old economy into new, but there are spending that we have to carry. And I must tell you that we still don't know how much of debt has been left behind our predecessors. So we may have to bring a contingencies liability bill to Parliament sometime next year, and the Parliament will make recommendations for Parliament to decide how the additional revenues are being raised to pay for these expenditures.
The Prime Minister also commented on the government's aim for economic growth.
First, we have to maintain momentum and ensure that whatever happens, there is a 6.5% growth rate for next year. But then from 6.5%, whatever be the problems we face, we have to go to a higher growth rate. We have to achieve 8%, and we have to ensure sometimes we can get 9%. Now these are difficult tasks, but not impossible. So all our efforts have to be mobilized to achieve this demand.
Also, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe opened trading at the Colombo Stock Exchange by ringing the opening bell and also made a note on the visitors log on the CSE.
An event was held in Colombo yesterday under the auspices of the chairman of the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce.
The event was held under the auspices of the chairman of the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, Samantha Ranatunga.
The Sri Lankan private sector is the heart of our economy. We provide over 3.5 billion jobs. If you take on GDP, we provide 80% of the investment about more than 75 to 90, about 90% of their revenue. So unless we move forward, we have a thrust of taking this country to the next level. No amount of talking is going to get us there.
Awards for the Hall of Fame in this year's LMD 100 and awards for the sector leaders in this year's LMD 100 were presented at the event.
And that is a wrap of Primetime News here on News First. It is a pleasure having you with us. For the News First team, I am Shahin Jirampati.
And I'm Mahina Bongzo. Good night.